Mark, do you have something to add about teachers and schools and their responsibilities?
Well, I agree with what Jeff had said, and it's got to be part of the conversation. You know, the teachers and counselors and our eyes and ears of what's going on. They see certain behaviors, and you know, part of the conversation now is to ask, you know, is something going on? Are you being picked on? You know, most of the time when you see a kid, something's going on, they immediately think that something's going on in their family. Is everything okay in your family? You know, is there a divorce going on? Did someone die? Or, you know, so they're sort of have their eyes and ears out for that. I don't know if it's coming to their mind to be thinking that, is this kid being picked on, you know, 4 hours a day, and how that might impact the way that they're coming into school. What we see with kids that are being picked on is that, you know, they first will try one strategy to see if it will stop. They'll try another strategy if it will stop. And finally, they move to kind of desperation. And sometimes the desperation is to get help, although they don't say it very directly, but sometimes they will do things. They'll drop out of school, they'll stop doing their homework, they'll get in trouble themselves. I've seen some kids that were bullying that get in trouble with the police because they're wanting some kind of indirect attention. I think just the parents, but your question to around the teachers and they've got to watch out for that. They've got to be able to ask the question.
Okay. Just going back to the teachers and that, what kinds of laws have been passed to protect the cyberbullying?
Well, in California, there's AB 86. AB 86 is a great first step. And the guys in the, Cliff was the one that started it. I forgot the gentleman he works for. But it gives the schools the right to expel or expend a kid for cyberbullying. And the nice thing about that law is, let's say I'm at home sick and I want to cyberbully somebody that's at school. I can be expelled for that because I'm damaging kids from just 'cause he's on school property. It's a great first step, and it needs to be revisited. I'll be honest with you, it needs to be a little tougher, but it's a great first step.
You mentioned having to be on school property. We were talking earlier about how cyberbullying is actually happening not only on school grounds, but it's, you know, happening at home and on the weekends and that kind of thing. There's no law or anything to help.
It's very hard to get law enforcement involvement. There's laws in place, but you know, law enforcement's, you know, there's with the budget and everything else, you know, they're buried on other things they have to do. So it's real hard to get law enforcement involved in it.
Okay. Going back to text messaging, what do you know about the development of this sexting? There was a article just today about a young 18-year-old girl who had sent naked pictures sent them to her boyfriend. They were sent around the school. Why do you think people are getting so addicted to texting and this whole idea of sexting?
I don't think they're thinking about the consequences. You know, it's very, very easy, and I think there's some, you know, sense that it's just going to be private, and I think it's a matter of it's kind of a maturity type of thing in many ways, and you know, the cell phone is a weapon at this point. You know, you never know. I think about, you know, Michael Phelps. You know, potentially he was bullied. I don't know if he knew that someone was taking his picture or not, but there's people that have the capacity to take pictures and then pass them on for profit or for trying to intimidate someone. Again, technology has made it much easier to do that. You can hide the fact that you're taking a photo of someone. Sure. You know, before, 5 years ago, you got to get out your camera and go like this. Now you can pretend like you're talking and you're starting to take pictures around.
Okay. And what is stopping people from actually, you know, simply deleting their Facebook or their MySpace or, you know, not texting back? You know, why do they continue doing it?
I think they get hooked. The thrill of it.
But what about those that are being bullied? Why why do they continue using the Facebook if that's
well?
the tool
I think
that
also too I go back to the YouTube thing we got involved in. This was the only outlet this child had. He was a great cameraman, and this bully was trying to take this away from him. So this was the only outlet. So he kept telling his mom, "Well, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay," until his mom actually looked at it and said, "Oh no, it's not okay." So in that aspect, I mean, you have to understand too. Most of the bullying too, cyberbullying, are mostly done by kids who are special ed. Mm-hmm. They're really picked on a lot, and a lot of these kids don't have a lot of outlets. So for this gentleman, YouTube was the only one outlet he had. That's right. And very honestly, how can you do that to a human being? They should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Mike, do you think that cyberbullying creates a greater risk of depression than face-to-face bullying because it can be so much more vicious?
I think there's a capacity for it to be more vicious. I think there's a capacity for it to come unexpected. At any time, you don't know. It could be 8 o'clock in the morning. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning whenever you're checking your phone or checking your computer. Before, it was a little bit more predictable when the bullying was going to happen. It usually happened between these hours, and even you can even isolate it that it typically happened at lunchtime was a popular time, or recess time was a popular time. It didn't happen in the classroom. Teachers wouldn't allow it to happen in the classrooms in terms of any kind of verbal bullying, so it was very isolated. Now, you just don't know when it's going to happen, and that intermittent, unexpected trauma is actually really can make someone really, really nervous, because you're going to have to be on edge all the time rather than, okay, it's lunchtime, I'm going to have to brace myself. Now they're going to have to brace themselves. They don't know when it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, do you have a comment?
No, that's pretty much right.
Does CSUN have any policies about cyberbullying? I mean, we're talking about the schools with their laws, but what about CSUN?
Well, I wish I can be definitive on that. There are student conduct, and we are looking at, and I know it's been in the conversation. I don't know if it's actually materialized or not, but the student conduct code is shifting to include cyberbullying, because we've had a number of cases that have happened here on campus. So I know that it is part of the conversation. I wish I can say to you it's in the books at this point.
And going back to the Jeremiah project, you have educational classes for parents and for students. What about your mentoring program? What does that involve?
Mentoring program, what we do is we get basically kids that are strong-willed, and a kid can go, if a kid's being bullied, they can go to the mentor, and the mentor will say, all right, let's go talk to the kid. And basically the mentor it's somebody that's a senior or a junior, basically, and it's basically a support group for that bullying. And the mentors, we try to bring in classrooms and we educate them what to do and what not to do, because we don't want them to turn out to be bullies. And if there's a report, they need to go to 51 or go to the classroom, or go to the supervisors that we designate who the supervisors are. Okay. It's a very, once you get kids involved, it's easy to sell, but you gotta get kids involved. And kids are going to fight the bullies, not so much the parents, anyone else.
I'm sorry, but we have run out of time. I'm Simone Luca, and this is On Point.